Making an urgent appeal for information about 14-year-old Danielle Hubble.
She's now been missing for 2 weeks. Her mum and dad were with us in the studio and we need your help to find her. Good morning, this is Missing Live. We're trying to locate some of the thousands of missing people all over the UK.
Yes, as well as Danielle's case, which we're looking at later, we're trying to find Karen Black, missing since a trip to Cleethorpes in 2006.
And Charles Barkwell, 78 and suffering from dementia.
Also with us, this morning presenter Ruth Langsford, whose elderly father has Alzheimer's. We'll be talking to her a little bit later.
Looking after your calls is Terry from the charity Missing People this morning. Good morning, Terry.
Hi.
What have we had in the phones?
Well, we've had some really good response yesterday, actually. By the end of the day, it was over 130 calls,
wow.
So really good. Interesting, Clive Watson, we featured him yesterday. He's the man missing since May in 2007 from the Windlesham area of Surrey.
Okay.
16 potential sightings of him. And over a dozen of those were in the Scotland or the North East area, so that's obviously quite interesting. A couple also in London and Hampshire.
OK, very encouraging start.
Yeah, Greg Jackson as well. We featured him on Friday, missing from Scotland since last summer. We particularly strong sighting of him from somebody who really thinks they know him and see him regularly, so that's obviously really good and police are interested in that one. And a few main areas, London, the Midlands and Scotland.
OK. Anyone else?
Yes, we've got Ian Mowat as well. We featured him last week, missing from Scotland, the Arbroath area since summer 2007. Now, this one's really interesting because we did take a call after last Thursday's programme. The police took some information. Unfortunately, there's some confusion with where the place actually is of the person that gave some information, so the police are really, really interested if that person can phone back again.
We need that caller to
really
phone back.
Yeah.
OK then. OK, Terry, thank you very much. So please do call us if you have any information that might help. The number on your screen now is 0500 700 700. Calls from most landlines are free, but some networks, and especially mobiles, may vary.
Now, an elderly man walks into town in broad daylight. Just how can he simply disappear? Baby Tegan is her great-granddad's pride and joy. But 78-year-old Charles Barkwell has been missing since June the 6th, 2008. Almost every day, his only daughter, Diana, still goes round to his house.
This is the road I travel when I go down to my dad's bungalow. At the moment, I just want to leave it like it is and sort of just keep it like he used to keep it.
Everything in Charles's house is as it was when he left almost a year ago. It's ready for him to come home.
These were taken. This is Dad's 3 brothers here. And this is David in school, his grandson. When he first went and said about changing the bed and that, and I said no, I couldn't do that. But then a couple of weeks after, I was down here one Saturday and it was nice, and I thought, right, I'll change the bed. And you pulled back the bedclothes and there was his pyjamas and his bed socks, so that was a bit wrenching.
Charles and his family have always lived around the market town of Launceston in North Cornwall. Before he retired, he worked for many years as a bin man for the local council. Charles is well known and well liked around the town.
Very caring man, very do anything for anybody, you know, and help them out and that, and very keen on gardening, and he liked dancing and quite mischievous in his ways. You think, oh my goodness me, what's coming now?
Some of Charles's happiest times have been spent with his grandson, David.
Always used to be out helping Grandad gardening or whatever. He always used to be out. helping him in that sort of way, the more I could do, the better. He used to come up and always used to bring a chocolate bar up for me when he used to come up and see me, which is always a thing to look forward to when I was younger. Like.
There you are. There he is, eh? Hello.
When baby Tegan came along 2 years ago, Charles doted on his great-granddaughter.
Oh yeah, he used to love it. He used to go down there and he used to go straight up to the kids first before he even greet us, sort of thing, really. Yeah, he'd spend a lot of time playing and mucking around with them. Yeah, he used to love the kids.
Although Charles's wife Sylvia died over 20 years ago, he's learnt to cope with life on his own. Just recently, he met Anne, who'd also been widowed.
I used to go to dances with my friends, and he was at one of them, and he came to ask me for a dance, and we just sort of hit it off straight away.
Anne moved into the bungalow opposite Charles, and they've become great friends.
We saw each other every day. We sort of keep an eye on each other. My kitchen faces his kitchen window, so we used to wave to each other to let each other know that we were both all right. He always came over every day for his dinner, because he enjoyed doing my cooking, but he was quite capable of cooking his own meals. He was very independent.
Charles and Anne share lots of interests. They'd often go on days out together and spend hours in the garden.
He was always out nearly every day, if it was fine, doing something in his shed or doing something in his garden. He made me this bird table, and because he'd made his own, and I said, I wouldn't mind buying a bird table. He said, don't bother, she said, I'll make you one, which he did. But he made mine better than he made his own, because all the pigeons used to go inside his bird table and take all the seeds before the little birds had a chance to get at them.
But despite keeping himself busy, Charles's health was causing concern.
His diabetes began to play a large part in his deteriorating health. He was being a bit erratic with his medication, and so it was decided a community nurse to come in the morning and evening to make sure he gave himself the right amount of insulin.
Although Charles was getting daily home help, his memory lapses were also increasing.
He couldn't sort of put the right words to what he wanted to explain. That was when that was sort of getting worse as time went on.
On June the 5th last year, Charles received a letter about his healthcare that upset and confused him.
He opened it and he said to me he wanted to know what it was. He couldn't really understand it. So I said, well, it's the social services wanting to assessment to see how bad your need is. So I said, I think you better let Diana sort that out for you. And he said, oh no, should I go and see them myself? So I said, well, I don't think you'll be able to, Charlie, because you haven't got a car, you can't drive. So I said, let Diana deal with it.
But Charles didn't ask his daughter for help. The next day, when his care worker visits in the morning, he's not in. By the evening, Diana is worried when she finds her dad is still not home.
There was a glass of orange on the worktop. He'd left everything just like he was coming back again.
Coming up, as soon as Charles is reported missing, police launched the search for him.
Because of the circumstances surrounding Charles, he was graded as a high-risk missing person.
And there's more on Charles's story later in the programme, and we'll also be speaking to Ruth Langsford about the problems of dementia in elderly people.
Right now, have you seen this young man? This is 17-year-old Jamie Meadham from Barry in South Wales. He's 5'8" tall, with short hair and wears glasses. He was last seen when he left home around 5 p.m. on Friday the 20th of March. When he disappeared, Jamie was wearing a black hoodie with navy tracksuit bottoms and black Nike trainers. Officers believe he may have connections in the Wiltshire area. So if you know where Jamie is or have any information that could help find him, then please call Missing People on 0500 700 700.
Another missing teenager now, and a mum who last saw her daughter 2 weeks ago today.
On March the 17th, 14-year-old Danielle Hubble walked out of her school in South London and disappeared. The Met Police are investigating.
We're off to the Clapham Junction area of Battersea, which is where Danielle lives, and we're going to go and speak to her mother and father at the home address. Did you see her when she left for school that morning?
Yes, she just left with her sister in the morning, and she had her black trousers on. She had her school logo with Southfields Community College. She had a black coat with a fur hoodie collar.
And how was she when she left for school?
Fine, that's what I can't understand.
And what about the day before?
She's fine. She's been fine. I mean, she's been going around a lot now lately with her sister everywhere, because I stopped her from hanging around with a few friends of hers because they wasn't very, you know, the right sort of friends. I wouldn't put this on anybody. No. You know, you don't sleep, you don't know if she's in some gutter, you don't know where she is.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. We're on our way to the Southside Shopping Centre in Wandsworth, which is where it appears Danielle was sort of last seen. We believe that she'd gone missing from school possibly around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and then the sighting of her in Southside was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. So we're going to go and speak to the management there and security and hand out some of our missing person posters of Danielle, see if anybody might know her or might have seen her since she's disappeared. She went missing last Tuesday on the 17th of March, and it's believed that she might have been in the centre sometime that afternoon.
We can definitely have a look through the CCTV, see if we can spot her.
Okay.
If we do, we'll get in touch with you and follow through.
There's just some concern because she's been missing for 10 days now, and her family haven't heard from her at all. We're just in the sort of main central mall at Southside Shopping Centre. We'll just speak to some members of the public and hand out some of our posters. Does she look familiar to you at all? She's a 14-year-old girl who went missing last Tuesday. No? No? Hello, girls. From Wandsworth Police. I'm looking for a missing girl. Her family's not heard from her sort of in 10 days, so that's why we're just sort of doing a bit of an appeal today to try and find her. If anybody knows anything, if you could give those numbers a ring, that'd be great. All right. Thanks a lot. We're hoping that we're going to get some responses from being here today to provide us with a few more lines of inquiry, and hopefully, you know, we'll find her and return her home.
The past 2 weeks have taken their toll on Danielle's family.
Every day that's gone past, I just think now, you know, I'm thinking the worst now, which I really shouldn't. People keep telling me, my mum, my sisters, my mother-in-law keep telling me that I shouldn't think the worst. But I do.
Well, Danielle's mum, Bridget, and her dad, Paul, are here with me now, along with Joe Yule from Missing People's Runaway Helpline. Morning to you all. Thanks very much for coming in. I know it's difficult as well because it's 2 weeks today. Let's just take you back to the day that she went missing. What happened? She went to school as normal, didn't she?
She went to school with her sister, Louisa, and what happened when she went into school, Louisa said that I don't know what happened, but Louisa said that she'd went to her class and said that she never had her catering uniform and she was getting sent home. And they already knew, the school, her previous about her running like away for 2 days the last time, and I said she was going to school with her sister and coming home with her sister.
Right, so she was basically sent home from school, wasn't she,
Yes,
to
yeah,
go and
yeah.
get this uniform. What do you know about what happened once she left the school and when she left the school?
Don't know.
I think.
They ain't got a clue. You know, she ain't on CCTV camera, you know, what they said, telling us,
They
you
said
know.
they wasn't
But
working.
Right.
we don't know what way she went or whatever. We
Okay.
ain't got a clue.
Now, you mentioned that she has gone missing before.
Yeah.
How long was that for?
For 2 days.
2 days.
2 days.
She was with a friend, apparently called Becky, in Tooting. That's all I know.
Okay, okay. So this is out of character for her to
Yes,
go
it is.
missing this
Yes,
long.
it is.
Yeah, this long, yeah.
Yes.
And how does she normally keep in touch with you?
Phone.
But she got that mugged off her, the phone.
Right, so
last
she didn't
time.
have her mobile phone with her either.
No,
we got
she
her
got that
ano-
mug
we
last
did get
time.
her another one,
Okay.
but she had it like, and we didn't give it back to her because we didn't want her getting in contact with some certain friends
Okay.
that I didn't like her hanging around with.
Okay, when did you start to worry then?
About 3 days, 4 days after it got past 2 days, like, you know, that was it. I said to Paul, something's going on here.
Let's just quickly talk to you, Joe, as well, because a lot of the people who go missing are young people, and they are often found quite quickly, aren't they?
To put this into some sort of context, there are about 100,000 young people each year go missing in the UK and will stay away from home for one night. But most of those cases are resolved very quickly. The young person will feel able to go back home. But for some, and families like this in this horrible sort of state of limbo, not really knowing what's happening.
From Danielle's point of view, there is a runaway helpline as well, which I'm going to give the number in a minute, but just explain to people out there what it does and what help she could get if she wanted to make contact.
The Charity Missing People has a runaway helpline. It's national, it's free, it's confidential. We don't trace calls, we don't put young people under pressure. What we do is talk the situation through with them and try and get them help if they feel like they can't make contact directly with the family. And sometimes that's just because they're scared to ring home. We'll pass a message through for them, we'll do a three-way call, we'll try and get them somewhere safe.
Just tell us a little bit as well, what's she like? She's very close to her sister, isn't she?
Yes, Louisa. She's got a brother called Stuart. She's very close to as well. She's got a brother called Danielle. She's got a brother called Stephen. That's been tremendous through this. I mean, loads of people have. His brother Dave. We've got
So
at
lots of
least
people have.
2,000 pictures of her all over, everywhere.
Even to Brighton.
As far as Brighton, Essex.
And Wales.
You know, there's all over. There's Surrey, everywhere. I can't understand why she hasn't seen it.
If she is watching us, what would your message be to her? What would your message be?
Please come home.
If you've got a boyfriend, even bring him home with you. I just want to have you
that's all I
safe.
want.
You know, I can't go on without knowing.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us. Thank you all for coming, Paul, as
Thank
well.
you too.
And where is Danielle? Somebody must know. We need your help. Don't forget, as well, you can call us anonymously. And Danielle, if you are watching, please let your mum and dad know that you are safe. The runaway helpline number is 0808 800 70 70. Let me give you the number again, 0808 800 70 70. Or you can text as well on 80234.
Thanks, Louise. Right, with me now is Detective Inspector Anne Simpson from the Metropolitan Police's Operation Compass. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
So what is Operation Compass then?
Right, we were set up in 2004 to take a policy and strategic lead for the whole of London. It was recognised at the time that in relation to missing people, all of them are vulnerable members of society and that we needed a more coordinated and consistent approach. Also, it's a very high volume area and the Metropolitan Police alone receive 30,000 and more reports every year of new missing people. And 60% of those are actually children under the age of 18. Generally, the main age group is between 14 and 17-year-old individuals, and it is a mix of girls and boys. So we're particularly worried about the vulnerability of these people.
And that's exactly the sort of age group that poor Danielle is, that we just heard about there. So how do you think this could help cases such as that?
Well, because we've been going for 4 years, we've managed to amass quite a bit of expertise in the area of missing people. We have looked at best practice in previous cases. We review all the overnight high-risk cases to look if we can assist boroughs in that particular investigation. And certainly on this case, we can review the case, look for any leads that may have been missed or any avenues that we might be able to explore and help the borough in relation to that.
It certainly looks like there's a lot of expertise that you can lend to these, so it sounds very successful. Thank you. That number to call, if you have any idea where Danielle might be, by the way, is 0500 700 700.
Now back to our story of Charles Barkwell, a popular granddad from Cornwall. Charles is diabetic, and because he suffers memory lapses, he's visited by carers every day. On June the 5th last year, Charles got a letter that upset and confused him. It was about a change in his healthcare.
I said, I think you better let Diana sort that out for you. And he said, oh no, should I go and see them myself?
The next evening, his daughter went round to see him, but he wasn't there.
He'd left everything just like he was coming back again. There was a bit of washing in the washing machine like you would, thinking, oh, I'll put a bit more in to make up a load. And he'd left the little vent windows open.
He's immediately reported missing.
There is medical history with Charles, and that's the reason why he was treated as a high-risk missing person to us. A letter was received which upset him somewhat, and we believe that was the basis of what started the events leading to him going missing.
Had Charles decided to go into town to speak to social services about the letter he'd received that morning? He lives a mile outside Launceston and he doesn't have a car. It takes about 20 minutes to walk into the centre. Police and his family retrace the route he would have taken. Charles is well known around the town. People report having seen him on that morning.
About 11 o'clock he was seen up in the town and by two people who actually knew him, sort of thing, but they didn't see him to speak to.
The last sighting on the 6th of June was by a groundsman that obviously knew Charles very well. It was 11:30 in the morning, and it was by the arch to the castle, which obviously is quite a prominent feature in the town. And categorically says that it's Charles, because obviously he's known him for some time.
The arch is just on the edge of Launceston. It was Friday and market day, so it would have been busy with shoppers. Was Charles going into or leaving the town? David did his own search. He knew there was another regular walk his granddad would often take.
We're at the graveyard where Gran is buried, where I first came to look for Grandad on the evening. You could take a shortcut from where he lived through the park to here. So this is the first place I came out, and I came down to Gran's grave and had a good look around. And he didn't see anything, so I then had a good look around the church, and then drove around the surrounding area through the park and had a look around to see if I could see him.
But Charles is nowhere to be found around Launceston. To cover as much ground as possible, the police take to the air.
All the resources available again were poured into trying to find him. We had local rescue groups carrying out searches. Our helicopter was out more or less the whole weekend.
Hundreds of miles of North Cornwall are tracked, but there's still no trace of Charles. In the following months, PC Kingdon continues to make detailed searches of the area.
Everything that you can see around was searched on the 10th of August, and really this is typical of the terrain that was searched on that day. There's a river, there's a lake, there's thick, dense woodlands. But yeah, everything that you can see around here was searched on that day.
there have been no further confirmed sightings since 11:30 on the morning that Charles disappeared. It's now 9 months on. Every week, Diana is round at her dad's house looking after his garden, so it's ready for the day he returns.
It's hard to describe, really. It is just like he's away on holiday, and not sort of, he'll be back one day and sort of carry on where I left off, hopefully, anyway. Sort of.
I miss seeing him every day, and I miss, you know, the chats that we used to have. We used to talk about anything, really. It's just having him around that's, it was just good company, really. I do miss him very much.
Good days and bad days for all of us, I think. With the granddaughter, which is 2 now, she's quite a bit of a, you know, takes your mind off things, and that you sort of think to yourself, well, you've got to keep it up for them.
So that's another difficult case, made harder by Charles developing dementia. Well, with me now is TV presenter Ruth Langsford, who's spoken before about her father's Alzheimer's and is also an ambassador for the Alzheimer's Society. Morning to you. Thanks for coming to talk to us. It's a really difficult case, but it is common, this, isn't it? Have you had experience with your dad?
Yes, we have, and you know, not so much in the early stages of his dementia, because he was aware of you know, what was going on. Excuse me, but later on, they get very confused. You know, so sometimes my father would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and get dressed, go to let himself out of the house, and my mother once lost him. They went shopping in Plymouth. And she said, do you want to just sit there for a second? I'm just nipping in here to get a couple of birthday cards. When she came out, he'd gone. And they were actually on their way to the dentist, and she spent half an hour in complete panic looking for him. And eventually she found him at the dentist, so he'd remembered they were going to the dentist. Well, he hadn't remembered, but she'd said, sit there for 2 minutes, I'll be back in a sec.
So really, I mean, only half an hour, but extremely worrying for your mum.
It's awful. I mean, it's the panic. I mean, looking at Charles's case there, you know, I can't believe the trauma that family must be going through, and it's gone on for so long. I was quite surprised, actually, to see that, because I'm from Cornwall, so knowing Launceston, you know, it's a very friendly town, and I know some people had seen him in the morning. I'm surprised that, you know, he hadn't been seen, but sometimes people wander for miles. I mean, they're found miles away from home, and nobody really knows how they do that. They go out with no money, no coat. And my thing really is to try and raise awareness, to say to people, if you see an elderly person who maybe is looking a bit disorientated, a bit confused, maybe a bit frightened, please just stop and maybe have a word with them.
Because you assume, you know, that's embarrassing for them as well. So to get rid of the embarrassment and go and say something to people.
Yes, like, you know, we were saying, if you saw a small child in a supermarket or outside alone wandering, you automatically would probably go and say to them, are you okay? Have you lost your mummy?
Yeah.
Well, people tend to ignore older people, and I think, obviously, I recognise symptoms and behaviour, and my sister actually found somebody, an elderly lady in a car park, supermarket car park, and because she recognised the kind of symptoms, she went and talked to her, and she'd wandered off. She'd been shopping with her son, and so they were delighted, of course, that she'd found her, but it is very scary.
What about practical help? Because you mentioned your dad sort of getting up at 2 in the morning and leaving the house. What can people do, and when do you realise that there really is a serious problem?
Well, realising there's a serious problem is different in every case. I mean, every case of dementia is very personal, and the rates of how the behaviour changes are different. Obviously, carers play a huge part in this, of looking after that person, assessing the risk in the home, moving things that may be dangerous, making sure you don't leave keys lying around, making sure the door is locked at night, that kind of thing. But also, there's a fine line of allowing somebody their dignity. You know, just because somebody has dementia, you can't treat them like a child. You have to allow them some independence and as much dignity as you can. I mean, there's been talk of tagging systems or safe walking systems, and the jury's out on that one, really, because there seem to be very mixed reactions, again, with kind of dignity and privacy.
Yes.
Personally, if we could have had some device on my father the day he went missing,
You would have known.
that half an hour for my mother felt like 3 hours. If you had known, well, at least we can track him and find out where he is. The danger of that is it doesn't become a substitute for good care.
Thank you very much, and thanks for telling us about your personal experience.
And also my thoughts to Charles's family. It's very, very hard for them. Let's hope they find him.
Thank you. If you or someone close to you needs advice with any aspect of mental health, not just dementia, then there's a BBC website that might help you. It's bbc.co.uk/headroom.
Terry's still with us, taking your calls. Terry, what's been coming in?
Well, some positive news in terms of Samantha Wright, who we featured last week. She was from Stevenage, but after a holiday moved to Edinburgh, and it was from Edinburgh really that she's missing. And that was June last year. So we've had about 8 potential sightings of her, which is a really good response. Different areas, some in the Midlands, some in the south of England. So obviously they're going to be looked into there.
OK, anything else?
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple of others where we've really had no information at all. So we really want to appeal for people to keep their eyes open. Particularly Gary McGowan. He was featured yesterday. He's the doctor last seen in Cambridge just last Tuesday. So people are really worried about him. Last seen walking along the King's Parade and Mill Lane. So again,
yeah, certainly need calls on that. Anyone else quickly?
Yeah, Simon Baker. He's the man missing from Bristol early March. Again, no calls on him. So really want people to look at the photo, see if they've seen him.
Yeah, really need their help, don't we? OK, Terry, thank you. So it is really important that you call in if you have any information that you think might be helpful. The number's there on your screen.
And some sad news now. Last week we appealed for information that would help the police to trace this man, Trevor Adams, the accountant who went missing in Aberdeenshire a week ago. Yesterday we learnt that his body was found in his car in the Perth area at the weekend. The police say there are no suspicious circumstances surrounding his death, and our sympathies go out to his wife Corinne and of course to the rest of Trevor's family. Thanks too to everyone who responded to the appeals for information.
When Karen Black took a trip to Cleethorpes, her friends were expecting her back in a few days. That was 2.5 years ago.
Have you seen this woman?
Police are investigating the disappearance of Karen Black. She went missing on the 10th of November 2006 while on holiday in the seaside town of Cleethorpes.
There's a team from Nottinghamshire, my colleagues, working up here in conjunction with the Cleethorpes officers, speaking to the local people, speaking to witnesses, and just carrying on with any leads that we get that may help us trace Karen's movements.
Karen lives in Worksop in Nottinghamshire.
Karen was very outgoing, free-spirited. She was popular, she did have quite a few friends.
She loved being an auntie.
She'd always send my daughter, Roxanne, a birthday card because her birthday is in May, same as our Karen's.
Even though Karen lived 20 miles away, she enjoyed popping round for a chat. Sharon remembers one time in particular.
She came here, she come through into the back garden, sat outside at Fish Pond just talking, and then I sorted her clothes out for her, and we were laughing because she left here with about 6 black bin liners full of clothes, coats, handbags, shoes, you name it. She had it in them black bin liners. She was one of a kind. There's only one Karen.
In Cleethorpes, the police are now looking at the details of Karen's disappearance in November 2006.
We know that Karen left the flat in Lancastrian Way in Worksop.
She then went to Doncaster.
She boarded a train to Cleethorpes from Doncaster Station the following afternoon.
Karen was staying at a guest house in the Isaacs Hill area of Cleethorpes.
We know that Karen left the guest house on Friday the 10th of November during the afternoon, around 2 o'clock, 2:30. It's from that time on that Karen's not been seen again.
Police want to know if anyone remembers seeing Karen after she left the guest house.
That's the direction of the seafront and the railway station. That's the location that we're particularly interested in, that it might bear some witnesses that we can see, and then hopefully can give us some more details on Karen's movements.
No one can help there, but there is another place they hope will give them a new lead.
There's several bars on this marketplace, and from information that we've received, we're aware that Karen spent some time here and may have been drinking in some of the bars here.
Despite it being 2.5 years on, the police won't give up on this case.
Hiya, can we just give you these leaflets?
It's been a while, but she's last been seen here. No. Do you want to, if you want to hang on to it and then just, yeah, jog your memory.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Somebody out there will have information that will give us some closure on this for the police and, more importantly, for the family.
It's like having a part of me missing, really. Like I say, she's my full sister, my natural sister, and all I want to know is that she's all right.
And Detective Inspector Stuart Kinton is heading the search for Karen. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what's the latest on the case?
The latest is that we've still got officers working closely with colleagues in Cleethorpes and South Yorkshire, following up leads and potential sightings. But in all honesty, things are drying up somewhat at the moment.
OK. One interesting thing that I've learned is she often goes by another name.
She does. We know her as Karen Black, as the film's just said, but she's also used the name Karen Fergus previously, and also Karen Etheridge. Friends and family know her as Fergie, refer to her as Fergie. So again, it's important that people realise Karen Black is Karen Fergus.
Absolutely, especially if she's known as Fergie. Now, what do we know about the areas that she used to associate with?
Well, she lives in Worksop, which is North Nottinghamshire, and she's got friends and family in Sheffield and Doncaster areas. So it's that sort of area of the country that we're concentrating our inquiries in.
OK, so how can the public help you today?
Well, the public could help, obviously, if they could cast their minds back, very difficult 2.5 years ago, to Cleethorpes. Anyone who was staying at the Brookfields guest house on Isaacs Hill in Cleethorpes, if we've not already contacted them, we'd love to hear from them, to talk to them to see if they can offer any information in relation to Karen.
Yeah, I know you're making a lot of inquiries with that guest house at the moment, so
We are,
thank you for that, and good luck with the rest of your appeal. If you know where Karen might be, then please call us now. The number, as always, is 0500 700 700.
Regular viewers will remember Kay Hawke from our last series. She drove away from home one morning while her husband was in the shower. The search is still on for her and her car.
Away from her home in North Cornwall and disappears. 65-year-old Kay has 2 children and she's very close to her grandchildren. She lives in St Day, a small market town, with her husband Gordon.
Kay and I met when we were both 19. I was attracted to her straight away, really. I mean, she had lovely brown eyes and a beautiful smile, but it did take me several months to arrange a date. But we seemed to hit it off straight away, and it went on from there, really.
Gordon and Kay have been married for over 40 years. Kay's elderly mother, Kathleen, moves to Cornwall to live with the couple. It's after her death in early 2006 that Kay begins to get depressed.
In May 2006, Kay was very low. We went to the GP, and she ended up having some weeks counselling, which seemed to do a lot of good. I think she was grieving, really, for a month.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse.
By December, her whole family notice a serious change in Kay's behaviour.
On Christmas night, we were sitting in the lounge here. Kay was sat on one side of the settee, and without any warning, she just leapt across and hugged me and just burst into tears.
Then things suddenly come to a head.
It was an ordinary morning. We had a cup of tea in bed, which we normally do. I really went in the shower. How long in the shower? 5, 10 minutes. Came out again. Shouted to Kay that I was out. It was her turn, sort of thing. No, couldn't get any answer. I noticed that my car, which was parked on the drive, wasn't there, and it was then that I realised she'd taken the car and gone.
Gordon contacts the police and Kay becomes the focus of a major missing person investigation.
It's been quite clear from the outset in this investigation that the key to finding Kay is finding the vehicle she was driving. We loaded the registration onto the automatic number plate recognition system within 2 hours of her being reported missing. If the vehicle had passed through one of our fixed or mobile sites, it would have been identified.
Then, 4 days after her disappearance, there's a development, just 10 miles from Kay's home. Nathan Jarvis, a local plumber who knows Kay and Gordon, is on his way to the surfing beach at Godrevy, a short drive from St Day.
We came into the car park off the main road there. I've looked in the car just as they're going past, and I've seen who I thought was Kay, and Kay was looking at me. I knew it was Kay because I'd spent several months at her house and her daughter's house doing work for them.
The emergency services are mobilised, and an air, sea and land search of the area is launched. Miles of coastline, forest and moorland are covered, but there's no sign of Kay or her car. No one has seen her since January last year.
Well, obviously I miss her. I mean, I was talking to Dad the other day and I said, when you don't know what to do, you turn to your mum and go and ask her for advice. But of course she's the one that's missing.
It wasn't just a wife, she was the best friend. I miss all sorts of things. I miss waking up with her in the morning. I miss going to bed with her at night.
If you know anything that can help the search for Kay, the number's on your screen now.
Just before we go, a reminder of the other cases we need your help with today. First, it's Charles Barkwell, the 78-year-old granddad from Cornwall who's been missing since June last year.
Danielle Hubble left for school 2 weeks ago. She's 14, lives in Battersea in London. And her mum and dad, we saw earlier, desperately want to know that she's safe and well. 2 possible sightings of her.
Karen Black's trip away ended in mystery. She's not been seen since she went to Cleethorpes in 2006.
And 17-year-old Jamie Meadham, here he is, from Barry in South Wales, has been missing since March the 20th. Already had a call on that as well today.
Yep, just a reminder how to get in touch if you recognise any of the people we're trying to locate. The number again for you, 0500 700 700. Our email is missing.live@bbc.co.uk. And if you want to write to us, the postal address is Missing Live, PO Box 63814. That's London N1 1HF.
We're here tomorrow at the same time when we'll be bringing you the latest on all our appeals so far.
Also, Janet Cowley, who walked out one evening last October, leaving her fiancé and 2 children, wondering where on earth has she gone.
And what happens when someone's been missing for not weeks or months, but decades. It's rare, but it does happen. We revisit a case from 1975 to see if it can finally be cracked.
Absolutely. That's all on tomorrow's programme. Thanks for your help today. We'll see you then at 9:15. Bye-bye.